Welcome to Pick a Lane. I'm Josh.
And I'm Erin. And apparently, we have a lot to say.
I lived with chronic illness for years and then finally healed using a technology called bioenergetics.
Through that experience, we co-founded a holistic wellness brand called Rudy.
We've learned a lot, to say the least, and we want to share it with you.
We'll explore mindfulness, wellness, and spirituality.
Topics ranging from pooping out parasites to breathwork and even traveling to parallel universes.
We spent a lot of years not living authentic to ourselves.
So our hope for Pick a Lane is to help you find your freedom and pick your own lane in life.
Tune in to a new episode of the Pick a Lane podcast every Friday on Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
And subscribe and review if you haven't already.
We hope the show resonates and we can't wait to connect.
Welcome to Pick a Lane.
Hi, everybody.
What it do, baby boo?
We have a special guest.
The best guest anyone would ever want to have.
Tell us your name.
My name is Zoe.
What it do, Zoe boo? How you doing?
Good?
Did you have a good day at school?
Yeah.
Tell me your funniest part.
Playing on the playground.
Oh, dude, the best. How many times did you get to play on the playground today?
Two
times?
Nice.
What?
I should tell them my favorite animal.
Definitely.
Go for it.
My favorite animal is giraffes, hippos, and bunnies.
Ooh, those are good ones.
Do you think they all get along? Giraffes, hippos, and bunnies?
What the heck?
I think bunnies would be best friends with hippos.
Yeah, 'cause they're
Can you tell us a little bit about how your remedies are going?
we have them every day.
How's-
Twice a day, kind of.
Yep. How's your belly feeling?
Good.
I feel like you complain a lot less about your belly hurting. I wouldn't even say complaining. You just would let us know that your belly was hurting.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like your belly's hurting less?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know your poops are fantastic.
Daddy always says that.
What were your poops like before you started remedies? Diarrhea.
Ew. But what are they now?
Good.
Healthy logs. Yeah, I do think your belly's bothering you less. What other things do we do to help your body heal right now?
What were you wearing last night?
Constellation pajamas.
That too.
That for sure helps your body. But
It
what were you
does.
wearing underneath your pajamas? Maybe around your stomach?
Your liver, to be exact.
My
Yeah,
Your castor
your
oil.
castor
pack.
oil
My
pack.
castor oil pack.
Yup.
Yes.
And then have you been taking detox baths?
Yeah.
Do you remember what we
are
put
in
in
the
them?
detox baths?
I forget.
We put half a cup of Epsom salt and a couple tablespoons of baking soda.
Yeah.
And then how about what you put on your feet?
Magnesium lotion.
Yeah. Does that help you sleep?
Yeah.
I feel like you've been sleeping a lot better since you started your
Mhm.
remedies. Would you agree?
Yes, baby, yeah.
And your mood has been a lot better.
That's true. You were a little bit grouchy before we started remedies.
You were. Maybe because your stomach was grouchy,
Yeah, wasn't your fault.
Yeah.
but you have been significantly more pleasant.
So we are here as a family to introduce another member of our family, kind of, our soul family,
Who do you call?
Auntie Laura.
Auntie Laura.
Dude, she's the best, is she not? Her and I co-founded Peak. She also is a co-founder of Rudy with
Mhm.
us. So this is the infamous Laura that we talk about
Yes.
all the time. She's finally on the podcast.
I know, finally, long overdue, but especially exciting because her and I had the experience of doing something called Kambo, Kambo, together over the weekend, and it was pretty spectacular. So I'm
It was pretty
excited to
wild.
share our experience. Yeah.
Keep in mind that this was like 3 hours after
Yeah.
you guys did
Yeah.
combo. So this is as fresh could be.
Definitely.
So all of this is kind of pure reaction. We'll definitely do another podcast after you guys have processed through the experience. But I actually liked doing it right after because there were certain things that were fresh on the mind that probably would dissolve over time as you're processing. So hopefully it's impactful and informative to everyone listening.
Totally. Yeah. And I probably will do another episode, just you and I diving deeper into my experience. We had limited time with Laura, so I wanted to get mostly her
For sure.
experience, but I'm excited for you guys to hear it.
Yeah, this is a good one.
I did have one, what's the word? Fact check.
Sure.
We were referring to an eye drop that was part of our Kambo ceremony, and I think we called it saranga, but it's actually sananga.
Don't put saranga in your eye.
It'll go wronga. I don't know. So we'll get more into the nitty gritty when we have Anastasia on, which we talk about in this episode. But, just take everything we say with a grain of salt.
Sit back, relax, and listen to Aaron and Laura talk about how they purged for 3 days.
Yeah.
Good times.
Good times. Great times.
Well, y'all, enjoy.
Love you. Bye.
When did you decide to start doing Kambo?
Well, I had heard a podcast. You probably sent it to me a while back, at least a year. And that's when I started getting really curious about it. So it's been on my radar for a while. And then the one person we knew of was not doing it for a while. So it was kind of like, when she comes back and offers it, maybe we'll go to Utah and do that.
Yeah.
And then the opportunity presented itself, and Aaron met somebody here, got connected in Columbus, and it all just worked. But it's been over a year of thinking about it.
It's around the same time you started thinking about it.
Yeah.
I think it was more so January where I really was like actively seeking a practitioner.
Yeah.
But there was just nobody here that I could find. Like when I would go to all the websites and look for the websites I was aware of and look for practitioners, it was like there was one guy up in Cleveland, but just I don't know. It was like all that was available was his email, and I don't know. It felt like not super professional, I guess.
Yeah. Kind of
It's
wild that you guys chose to do it in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to just Google, you know? And
so when I got a personal
kind of trying to find a dealer.
Yeah.
Speaking from experience.
Which I don't do anymore. So you take a different approach to it. But that personal recommendation of somebody, and then letting it fester is a big thing in this spiritual medicine of like, you feel the calling, you explore it, even with an opportunity. I think that's part of all of this, like waiting till your intuition is ready. And then the universe also aligns for the right time, which like this weekend happened to.
Yeah.
But it could have been any weekend. But the fact that it's in Columbus is wild. I grew up here.
Yeah. I think also with this type of medicine or anything alternative, really, it's called alternative for a reason. It's not mainstream. So you're not having a bunch of peer pressure of like, oh, try acid. All my friends are doing it. This is like, not currently. Maybe they are. I don't know. But you have to get there on your own journey, because in this type of medicine, nobody is peer pressuring you into it. Yeah, I think that's part of the beauty of it is your intuition kind of ignites.
Yeah.
And you start thinking about it, but your body knows when it's ready to do what it wants to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that curiosity has to get strong enough. Yeah.
Yeah, and some of it is just like divinely guided, because I was going to do it with my dad months ago.
Yeah.
But then as we started exploring more, realized that he has some contraindications with Kambo, with his heart and blood pressure and things like that. And at first I was super disappointed because I was really excited to have that experience with my dad. What a unique thing to do with your dad.
Yeah.
We often find ourselves, like I'll call my dad after I do something crazy like Kambo, and he'll be like, this is not a conversation I ever expected to have with my daughter. But so I was like disappointed, and also feeling like part of it was he was gonna gift it to me. He's like, if you do this with me, I'll pay for it. Which at the time I was like, awesome. Things are a little tight. Like it would be so nice to not have the financial burden of doing this, which realistically, now that I've had that experience, was worth every fucking penny and more. Like that was not even remotely. But I think, first of all, doing it with you was really unique and special. There's not too many people I would want to do Kambo with, and you
completely agree.
One of them.
So like, don't do it with like somebody you just met?
Like an acquaintance. I don't know. Like maybe in some ceremonial group setting, I would be game for it. But
strangers, I'd be totally fine. It was far more special to do somebody who's like soul group, like you and I are.
Yeah.
But it's that in between ground where it's acquaintance, or like no matter how far they are on healing journey, if there's any part, which we all have as humans, of imposter syndrome or just, am I doing this right? Or like if you can't throw up in front of somebody, or you don't know if you can, or go to the bathroom. But then even more so than the physical part of it, the spiritual part of it, you have to be open enough to be able to explore that and talk about it out loud and not wonder, what are they going to think about me? Or is this going to spark some big conversation I'm not ready to have, or things like that. So I think there's a lot of people you could do it with. But for me, in this stage of my life, there's only a few, you know, maybe only one.
I was gonna say, honestly, like you too.
Yeah.
And if my dad had no contraindications, I totally would have done it with him. But all that being said, so I was disappointed, and then I just was putting it off. Like I kept telling myself, it's like I don't deserve to spend the money on this for whatever was the story. But now after having this experience with you, which was extra special, and understanding that sort of like energetic exchange that is offered when you do pay with money for a thing. I don't know. There's something unique about that. Like I showed up more for it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
But it was, the timing was just for sure divine. The whole experience was divine. Like we would pull oracle cards before our medicinal experience, and just almost borderline freaky. Like it was supernatural. Everything that happened was just like, wow, spirit is so involved in whatever's happening here. But that was how this entire experience was.
And kind of the week building up to it, y'all both were off the rocker a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it started working before I even made it to Columbus. That's for sure.
Wait, tell me more, because I didn't know that.
I think emotionally anticipating it. Josh can actually probably speak more to how I was, to be honest, because I was traveling the weekend before too, and everything was stressful. I was starting to have, I don't even know, how would you describe it?
A lot of negative talk.
Yeah, a lot of negative talk.
Not in a way of like negative towards yourself, just negativity and down. You were really down of I shouldn't have done this, I shouldn't have done that.
I overestimated what I could handle and was riding a high of wedding, honeymoon, coming off all that of I can travel and drive 6 hours and it won't affect me at all. And then it totally did.
Physically,
and I was physically,
like,
emotionally, like I was exhausted.
Yeah.
And I was like, what am I doing adding all of this? Like operating in a way that I did 6 or 7 years ago, which at that point my body could handle. And all of life was different. Like driving around with one dog is totally different than having whatever,
a wife.
all the things, a wife who pees every 5 seconds. Love you, Kelsey. But no, like it's just the whole experience is different. And then the pulls of I've been off work a lot lately for the wedding. And then I'm like, why did I decide to drive 6 hours on a work day? It just was a lot to navigate at once that I feel like I've already learned that lesson.
Yeah.
But then like completely forgot it when I booked all of this. So I was negative about that and just like kicking myself.
Yeah.
But it was all starting to stir things up.
It was interesting. I just feel energy. It's one of the things that I have. And I can feel it like in Slack even.
Yeah.
We've been business partners for so long that just communication alone, I can start to sense things. But then we had a couple phone calls.
Yeah.
And I could hear it and feel it. And then same with Aaron. And it just felt so much that was like deeply ingrained on a cellular level was
surfacing.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
Your bodies knew it. In
surfacing
preparation,
to be purged,
or your consciousness was like, all right, let's roll. Something, a purge is going to happen, and you were preparing for that. But like from a psych perspective, y'all were tripping out.
Oh God, I was for sure stuck in a shame cycle the entire week leading up to this experience, which was probably what needed to happen. Yeah, I do feel like things were like the medicine was working before it even got to us. But
I just think you had enough awareness to know what, at least at a surface level, what you're going to go through. And so your body was preparing for that.
Yeah.
What it needed to get rid of.
I'm curious to know, what were you hoping or what were you expecting or what were you coming to Kambo to heal versus what actually happened? And it may be the same answer, but I'm just curious to know that.
I'll need a month more of processing in order to answer that fully, as Josh knows how long I'd use to process things. But I think I went in, there's been so much I'm working on healing physically, emotionally, and spiritually all at once, but there's been this path of back and forth and not enough of fully integrated of the three. So I think there's been a growing curiosity of what my body knows that I don't in my heart know or feel yet. And before Kambo, that was like a connecting to my mind. Like my mind, I wanted my mind to know what my body knew. And throughout this Kambo experience, especially this morning's practice is like, my mind doesn't have to know. I need to drop in out of my mind to my body, to the sacral, and let that do the work. I wanted to discover different things that have been stored in there. And part of what I'm learning is that's not the way to do it. There's plenty other ways, and it is working. You know, it is working on that.
Yeah, the mind-body connection is fascinating. It, of course, is huge. But sometimes we give too much credit to both of those things. And also it needs to be more than just mind, body, spirit. If we leave that part out, yikes, because we can't trust the mind or even the emotions.
Yeah. And embodiment is not letting the mind control it all. Like I drive with the mind at all times, constantly figuring things out. And I get stuck in this head heart thing, but that's not the body. I need to go deeper, not even in those two, go deeper into like core.
Yeah.
And I think some of us have different maybe predispositions, or one feels stronger than the other. I don't know. I think some people are better at dropping into the body, but have a harder time with the emotion soul side or the mind side. But we're all just different.
The key is source, divine,
Yeah.
whatever you want to, God, whatever you want to call it, regardless of how you tap in, it's connecting to that opens up the consciousness to start to understand.
Yeah.
So like being aware of the body is really good. Being aware of your mind, really great. Like mindfulness is key.
Yeah.
Even your soul, like understanding where you are spirituality. But what it seemed like inside of Kambo for both of you is that you tapped in.
Yeah.
And tap in.
Tap in. Yes.
But you tapped in and you started to feel that connection with something more divine outside of yourself that was giving you information that you had always needed. You just didn't know it.
Yeah.
And it had started to cleanse. You purged however you needed to in all of your ways. You started to learn from that.
Yeah.
I think if you aren't willing, in sometimes fear and sometimes just unknowing, connecting to whatever that higher thing is, that information may get to the surface and you may like purge it, but not fully understand it.
Yeah.
And so both of you had that willingness, which started a week before.
Yeah.
Or
in
maybe
preparation.
years before.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
That you were ready for it.
Yeah. I think there's been lots of prep in this, and they both, like, each of our paths in our own ways. And then this path for this weekend, like, all aligned together to teach us what we needed, not what we wanted necessarily.
Yeah. We definitely learned that
Yeah.
from Kambo. And I think plant medicine in general, plant/amphibian medicine, it gives us what we need, not necessarily what we want, is what our practitioner kept saying. And sometimes we're lucky and those two things are the same, but more often than not, it, you know.
It just goes. Yeah. And I think I went in with very physical hopes of like been dealing with all kinds of digestive issues for like a while, but especially bad for a year, and just lots of different like physical symptoms that I'm trying to work on and clear. But then in conjunction, also working on really deep emotional symptoms.
Yeah.
And I'm so aware how intertwined those two are. But with Kambo, there's all kinds of stories of how it's helped both of those. So I think I was more curious about the emotional. Didn't really think much would come up. I thought it'd be more physical. Yeah, get these toxins out of here kind of thing. Like, this is going to be a great cleanse. I definitely purged in the way I needed to. And I think there's going to be that impact. I'm excited to see the next couple weeks how that feels. But emotionally, I was so surprised how different things like are so stored. And Kambo didn't clear them. Like, they're in my way, like, I think some energy definitely was released, but it was also shown in different ways. Like, it's not gone. There's still work to do. There's integration to do. There's a path of healing that is required, but enlightening all of it, tapping into that. That's like part of where I've been stuck.
Yeah. It definitely, I think, cracked something open for you to be able to see in a different light.
Yeah.
You too, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
I would have said you were stuck as well.
Yeah, definitely, in our own unique ways. Yeah, I don't really know exactly what I was hoping to get out of Kambo. I was mostly just following my curiosity and intuition, which is something I'm learning to do, and I feel like is the point of being a human being. But I just feel like if we have an opportunity to experience something we're curious about, like, why the hell not? You might as well. I was definitely feeling blocked in areas, mostly around just my, I don't want to say my knowing, but like my trust in myself, my capabilities,
Your
like
intuition.
Yeah. We talk all the time about how I feel like this unintentional mantra of mine is, I'm just a baby.
Well, you cleared that.
Not
anymore. No, I'm a
you
fucking
said I'm
warrior.
a fucking warrior.
Yeah. On day 2 of Kambo, I was like breathing through an intense wave. And I just felt like I can do fucking anything. And why do I limit myself and play small so much? But we'll get into the details. I do want to talk through individual experiences. Yeah. Just to kind of set the stage, or like for the listener, what it felt like. So we get, her name is Anastasia, and she will absolutely.
Caveat to that, everyone's going to feel something different.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So these are your individual experiences.
Yeah.
People listening, you may do this and have a completely different experience.
Which will be obvious.
You need to have whatever experience you're going to have.
Yeah.
Will be obvious by how different our 2 experiences were, and our individual experiences with each serving of the medicine was so different. But
and I will say we're super fresh. We finished our 3rd one this morning, and
like 3 hours ago.
The medicine keeps working, especially like emotionally, physically, and spiritually, for hopefully months, but I'm excited for even just our own personal catch-ups of like how we feeling, what's coming up, what's processing in all of it, physically and emotionally.
Definitely.
I'll say this: have your partners do combo. Fact, business partner, relationship
you
partner.
Got kind of a double whammy.
I win on this one.
Winning. We'll definitely have Anastasia on the podcast because I want to talk more about just all about Kambo, how it works, why it works, like the science behind it and things like that. Yeah. So we won't dive too much into that today, more so just our experiences, but just to set the kind of stage of what we were experiencing. So we get to her home. It's beautiful. She has this lovely little space with 2 mats. And so we're laying on these mats, and she just creates the most beautiful sacred container for this experience. Like, it's nothing fancy. It's just like ritual, sacred, beautiful. So we sit down, we meditate, we drop into our bodies, and she serves us a couple other medicines first. The first one being hape, which is like a tobacco powder. And it has, I guess there's many varieties of hape as there are wines in the world. You can pick and choose what you need on any given day. But so
sounds like a seven's dream.
Yeah. So that is administered via the nose. So she like blows that through a little like bamboo thing up the nose, and immediately you're like in your body. There's no place else you can be
quick,
but present right there. Which was cool.
And day 1 on this, so she's telling us about it. I have a long history with tobacco. Don't smoke anymore, thank goodness. But I did for a long time. And it's been a long time since I've had any sort of tobacco or around me, really. But she picks Erin's intuitively, and it's the gentlest one. It's mostly herbal. I don't even know if the first day yours had much tobacco in it, maybe a tiny amount or none. And then she grabbed the strongest one for me and just looked at me and was like, do you have a relationship with tobacco? I'm like, I used to. And she's like, I could feel it. Like, so there's so much, like the way she holds space is so beautiful and sacred, but she's also so tapped in to our own energy, and she offers her energy to us as well, not just as support and a guide. Like, she's in it with us, which was so amazing.
Like, not in combo with us, but she is in, she holds in the space really beautifully. Like, she's so gifted.
Yeah.
But there were so many moments throughout our experience where we're like just feeling almost otherworldly, where she just knows things about us intuitively. But she picked like the one with, I think, no tobacco in it for me, because I've not used many substances in my life, and she could sense that. Yeah. So we do that, and then we lay on our backs, and she administers something called saranga.
I think it's
saranga.
We might be pronouncing that wrong.
Yeah,
but
it's an eye drop, and I believe it's made from some sort of a tree bark in the Amazon. I might be messing that up, but we'll ask her more when she's on. But it is another super potent, like we both, Laura and I, gasped when, so she drops it with your eyes closed, and then she says, okay, open when you're ready. And you open, and it feels like your eyes are immediately set on fire.
Yeah, it's pretty spicy.
Yeah, we both went, oh, like the first time. But she, again, just holds this beautiful space. She's like massaging your third eye, and she's breathe deep into your body, like try to relax your face. And it's all just these things that are really preparing your mind, body, soul, heart to receive combo. But just, I don't know, knowing that you can breathe through any discomfort, whether that's spiritual, whether that's emotional, physical, any discomfort, you can ride the wave. Like, that was kind of the first message that came across to me.
Yeah.
It was like, if you just find your breath, like, you can do anything.
Yeah, and hape is 10 seconds, maybe 20 seconds max. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Erin was like a little taken aback at first, but then, so it was less discomfort for me. Your eyes water a little bit, you feel it. And then how do you say it?
Saranga,
we think, is like 3 to 5 minutes max. Like, it probably stops stinging after 3 minutes, and your eyes are closing. Like, it is.
Did you both have the same experience with the eye drops?
We did.
Yeah. We went,
especially the first day. And then each day, like today was even a little stronger for me.
Really?
And it was the same amount each time, but it just felt it stung a little bit more, but it's like clearing the eyes.
Yeah. She says it's really good for eye health. I want to look into it more. I don't know much about it. But so we do all these beautiful rituals. We feel at least I did, feel very connected to source, very in my body. And
we did do a meditation before we started those. So she guided us through each day, a beautiful 10-minute maybe meditation to just really set the
like
stage.
A full body guided visualization?
I would say pretty close.
Yep.
Yeah. Each day was a little bit different. different of a flair. I think she just uses kind of her intuition, what
Yeah.
comes up. But the first one was it was a little bit of a body scan where you're like
checking in,
draining is it called hucha is the energy? So that's like, she was describing this, I forget what culture this comes from, but hucha is like the specific energy that only happens between humans.
Yeah.
And it's I think a negative energy, like a
angst. Yeah, just built up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which you probably have a decent amount going in for your first session.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we drain the body of this hucha, and she describes, imagine that there's a trap door like in your sacrum.
Yeah.
And you're just letting that all drain into the earth, knowing that Mother Earth knows exactly what to do with that energy. It's not negative to her. She knows how to transmute it and transform it into like fertilizer almost.
Beauty.
Yeah. And
butterflies.
Allows new things to grow. I know the whole time I was thinking like, wow, Josh just intuitively basically came up with this meditation. I don't know. You blow my mind over and over. And then we have another kind of trapdoor or portal, whatever, in like our crown. And that's where we let the light like source fill up wherever the hucha had drained. So immediately you just feel so sacred, so safe and held, divinely protected. Like those are all words that came up for me in the first one. But then she administers Kambo.
Yeah.
Do you want to describe the process of that?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it was pretty much the same each time. So she'll open the gates, which are tiny burn marks, basically. We're just on the very top layer of the skin. And Erin, correct me medically if I'm wrong on anything. This is how I understood it. So just really small marks on our arms. Interestingly enough, I chose my left arm, and that's more feminine energy.
Yeah.
And just the slightest amount. And Erin chose her right arm, which is more masculine energy. And it ended up through the 3 series days. That's exactly what we needed and learned. So really cool that there's like different meridians and portals there. So she opens the gates, is what the burn marks are called, when she just wipes away the skin a little bit. And then you can probably talk more about the water piece, but so then we drink a certain amount of water. It's controlled, it's tracked. That's probably the part that is mostly, from a medical standpoint, mostly watched to make sure we have enough and not too much. We don't have to really go into much of that, but
we'll
it's
save
just
that for when Stacey comes on.
It felt very safe on that front. So we drink water, we're talking, we're processing different things. And then the actual Kambo, it's administered one at a time on each of the gates. So the first day we started with just one on and then eased in. And then once we felt through that first wave, she gave us our full dose, I guess, for the day. And then the second 2 days, we put them all on at once.
Yeah.
So it was kind of what our bodies felt was right.
Yeah, it was definitely, I had no really expectations going into it except for what I had heard. And I think there's this kind of misconception with Kambo that you have to purge in order to have like a quality experience or something. That definitely was not the case for me. But I can see why there's that misconception. But the first one, she administers one dose or one gate for me. And within, would you say like 2 minutes? 3 minutes?
One.
Less
I think
than
like
that?
minute and a half. Yeah.
Okay, so what happens is you feel heat where the Kambo is administered. So like it started on my shoulder, and then the heat crawls across your body and works its way up to your face and head and ears. Everything gets bright red. At least it did on you. I couldn't see myself.
Yeah, you were red too. Yep.
Bright red. And you start to get this kind of pulsating like whoosh in your head. And it like feels, I don't have tons of migraines, but it feels reminiscent to maybe what a really intense migraine might feel like.
Different for me. It's like, it was more, you have a slight headache, but it wasn't like as bad as like migraines, like miserable to me.
Yeah.
It wasn't, that part wasn't super uncomfortable, but it was this like heart pounding kind of whoosh feeling.
You definitely feel the increase in your heart rate and the blood pressure shifting and things like that. So
does it dilate?
I think it's a potent vasodilator. I think. I don't know. We'll have to ask Anastasia when she comes on. And then immediately, I think I said out loud, oh, I could see how people purge. I start to feel my stomach, like things are happening. I don't know.
Yeah. And the heat just feels like you feel it starting from where the medicine's administered and grow throughout your body. But then after 30 seconds or so, it just feels like you stepped into a sauna.
Yeah.
Like
I kind of liked the heat part. It felt like a warm hug or something.
Yeah. It really was. It was like semi-intense and overwhelming, but it was pleasant. Yeah.
The whooshing, she described like some people feel like it's like the worst flu of their life. And I could see that. It didn't feel like that for me, but similar. But within minutes, I was purging hard, like violently purging, just vomiting. And, you drink a big mason jar full of water before to allow your body to purge if it needs to. And I think I was just like, I remember looking at you after I had thrown up probably 5 or 6 times. And I was like, because I went first the first day and I didn't want to scare you. It was like, that's intimidating to watch watch the first one. So I looked at you and I was like, I promise it's not bad. I don't feel sick. I'm just like, it just happens.
It just comes is what you said.
Yeah. And it is so different than sick puke. Like it felt like my body was just purging is the best word for it.
So wild.
Like deep. And it's all bright green bile. The peptides in Kambo, it's doing something to the liver, gallbladder, kidney. Like it's helping to purge those areas or cleanse those areas. So that's where the bile is like coming up from. But I have never thrown up like that in my life. It was like deep guttural.
Yeah.
So that happened. And after the fact, she said, I've never seen anyone purge on just one, which I mean, I guess I'm somewhat sensitive to substances in general, just because I don't use many, haven't historically. But what I got from that first round of Kambo was kind of like the message that came through was that I've been told by multiple practitioners, like when I did EMDR and when I've done breath work, like multiple practitioners have told me this, and I guess I just haven't believed them until this experience. But you are so open and like ready for this experience. Like there are no walls keeping you from like.
I mean, it took me so many breathwork sessions for me to have something.
Yeah.
And for you, it was like the first or second one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was like my big takeaway from the first was like, okay, I'm ready and I'm open, and I don't know why I'd never feel like I'm ready, but I am. All the things have led me to this moment, and I just need to feel confident in my abilities, my capabilities. So yeah, that was my big takeaway. It was for sure uncomfortable and intense, I would say, but I left feeling like I would still go back. I was afraid I was going to leave the first one and be like, oh shit, I got to go back for two more. But I didn't feel like
that was really helpful too for me, that we had it booked already.
Yeah.
And we were doing it together.
Yeah.
There wasn't any like
accountability
no
on the
back.
calendar and in person. Yeah.
And I'm so glad we had the series of 3 because the first one was probably the most physically intense for both of us.
Yeah.
But and all 3 were different for each of us. But that experience was like, at the end, we were like, oh my gosh, okay. And felt stronger, it just all kinds of different things.
Something to note too, as soon as it's off, you're feeling back to normal. And then you guys, I mean, both of you went on about your days like an hour after.
Yeah. So once it comes off, it's only on for up to 20 minutes in our experience, and you can take it off at any point. It took maybe a minute to start feeling like throughout the 20 minutes, it would decrease because your body's like moving through those waves. I think that was the helpful part for me of being like, it is a short amount of discomfort.
Yeah.
And we can sit in that.
Yeah.
We can find joy in that. We can find all these different things.
What's the mind doing in that 20 minutes?
It was different for me all 3 times. Yeah. So the first one, I think we didn't know the experience, and I had seen Aaron go first for the first one. So I was like expecting certain things because you do. And then mine was completely different. So different. Yeah. So mine goes on, and I felt the heat was the same, I think, for both of us, and that stepping into the sauna feeling. And then I went to the bathroom. That was my purging.
Yeah.
Lucky me.
Lucky you.
But that's exactly what I needed and where I've struggled. So it was so cool to see the exact same experience, the exact same dose.
You're a frequent flyer.
I'm a frequent flyer of the toilet these days. Yes. No shame anymore. Yeah. So it was very validating at first, even just that part, to see it go where it needed to go. And it was so different for us. So mine was the same beginning, and then couple minutes in, maybe 3 or 4 the first time.
Yeah, I think you were more like 5 or 6 when you got up.
It's like you're unsteady, so she helps you to the bathroom. It's not like crawling or anything. It's just like, you don't want to trip. I could easily have tripped, but I could walk.
It's mostly for blood pressure concerns, I think, because it does mess with your blood pressure. If you stand up too quickly, you can pass out. So that's why.
Yeah, she helps you stand up. But then I walked myself there with her holding my hand or whatever. But the mind part of it, the first time, it was like noticing, like just very present with my own experience, noticing what I was feeling, noticing what I was happening, and coming back to my breath every time. And then when I was in the bathroom, I was like, how long has this thing been on? What's happening?
I'd imagine the mind would want to escape a little bit.
A little, but it wasn't like I need to disassociate. It was like there was a little bit of that for me though, of not a push through kind of thing, but okay, let it do what it's needing to do, which is exactly what I need. Like we've talked about almost all 3 sessions in different ways. For me, it's my mind that's overactive. Different in the ways I've numbed and distracted in the past. It was more that can turn off for a minute and this is just happening, you know, and like that's okay. Let it just happen. But yeah, there was the first day I was like, there was a point where it was so uncomfortable that I was like, I just want this off. But then very quickly after it starts fading, you made it through the wave and you have that warrior like feeling, but also just like trusting the process feeling of I'm gonna be okay. And that was quick and that was okay. It was safe. It was fine.
Yeah. Was it the first day that she was drum? So she brings out this drum. She has different tools that she just like intuitively will, like she's got a sound bowl, she's got a drum, she will sing sometimes. Was it the first day that she brought out the drum and started singing your grandmother?
The grandmother that was the second day. The first day she did drums, so helpful for me in the bathroom. She stayed inside the door.
I never heard anything.
Yeah, because I'm like feeling fully comfortable. Yeah, like it's just gonna happen. Thank goodness Ernest is also a nurse. It made me feel totally fine. But you know, you hear some stuff when stuff is coming out that end. Yeah, so she's like drumming and singing this just very sacred music and rhythms and things like that while we're doing, just helping us energetically feel through it all. Yeah. But the second day, if we want to go into that,
go ahead.
The second day was wild. So the first day was an opening for me. I don't even know how to describe it. It just opened. And then the second day, it went so deep. So starting with the meditation, it was like pulling ancestral trauma, wisdom, all these different pieces of it into awareness. And it's weird that I'm here in Columbus to do this the first time. It's almost like it was calling me because I grew up here. I saw my grandpa the day before and that was beautiful. And then seeing just different paths my family has taken on these same lands. It's just interesting to be among. Then ancestral, there's pain in my family tree and myself and within me. And that all can turn into anything. But she was singing this song out of nowhere. She's like, I even got up to sing something else. Yeah. And she just started singing this other one that was like, you might remember the words more, but it was like calling on grandmother spirit, calling on great grandmother spirit of abundance, love, creation.
Yeah. And about birth too. And I remember she even clarified after, she was like, I just sensed mother wounds, like womb pain for you. And so I wanted you to know like that creation is not, or I think the song called it birth or something. It doesn't have to do with birth of a physical baby, but just that womb space in a woman is creation space. That's where we generate creation, love, like all these beautiful things. Yeah. And for one reason or another, whether it's like ancestral or something that you've accumulated along the way, like that space was what was blocked for you, I guess. Which is interesting because what you had said driving through wherever you went with Kelsey.
Yeah, driving in to Columbus, we passed through Marion, and that's where my mom grew up and where my grandmother lives. And I have no specific trauma whatsoever in Marion, but I felt like I had goosebumps. I just felt energy driving through. And it was less of a childhood memory and more of like a knowing, like it was starting. Yeah. So I felt the space. I felt the energy of it. And then to have that come up, and I've been working on different mother wound processing. I'm in the process of EMDR right now for many different topics and held beliefs, but one of them has been that line, and I've been awakening more and more, but in my mind only until this experience, like understanding and feeling more empathy and things like that for each experience of my lineage. Like not only my mother and even my dad, but their mothers and their mothers and going as far back, and like faces of all of them came up during that second one, but in a felt way more so than the mind conjuring pictures. And then I kept thinking of, I'm named after my great grandma, and I kept thinking of her during that Kambo Experience, the day 2, of what don't I know, you know, and what wisdom is there. And the song was beautiful because if we look for it, we can always find different pain and different paths and different hurt that has happened over time. And I can sometimes feel too deeply in that and get stuck in that. But the song was all about finding the wisdom in it. Yeah. And we don't have to hold it all. Those tragedies are over, you know, and we can learn from them for sure. We need to release them and move through them, but there's so much beauty if you can. And then so much of that day was like sacral energy and just so much blockage, and sacral is womb and it is creation. And that's tied to abundance and money and creation of all kinds.
Pleasure is another
one. Yeah. And it's so hard for me to even just sit and delight in anything. And so that was all, like, it went deep. I left the second day quite stunned of just.
You came back like deer in the headlights.
Yeah. It was quite interesting. And I'm so glad we had day 3 because
Me too.
Lots of clarity there of how clenched all of that has been held and just how clenched I've been living because of that. And it blocks not only me, but it blocks everybody else. And whatever that means for creation over time, like womb, I'm so glad she clarified that because there's a whole lots of conversations happening on womb in general.
Yeah.
But there's so much blockage there that I connected, like, I don't want to pass anything on. And that's out of
like to future generations, you mean?
To future generations. But I think even deeper than that, like I control so much, even what we create. And it is so locked in. It's so like safe is maybe the wrong word, but it's so controlled as best I can, because I'm so aware of destruction that I can create as well. And there's no freedom in that. And that just goes so far back to, where does my worth come from? Where does self-love come from? There's so much work and delight to happen there and to be released there. But creation in general, and I'm a sacral human design as well. So it's like that being blocked, my whole being is blocked. Everything I'm creating is blocked. So I can only ever do so much until I do that clearing work.
Or snap,
which I've done before. And it's like, what type, like if I look at my past paths, everything happened to get me here. Like, 100%. And I'm so grateful for every part of it. And there's lessons in all of it. But where has that cycle been happening? Where it can only be controlled for so long, and then it's going to snap, and then that cycle again. And where can I break that, not only for me, but how does that tie to past patterns too, that I can break for everyone around me?
It's interesting too, because the patterns exist. They may just look a little different, whether that be with something like addiction or physical representation. If you've moved on from a season, but didn't learn the patterns that got you into that season, it may manifest into something else until you fully get it.
And there's wisdom in all of it. Like, I've learned from each pivot in the path, gratefully, but there's core, like we talk about root cause when we talk about physical healing, but root cause when it comes to emotional healing as well is so intertwined with all of it. Physical symptoms aside, like my own patterns and cycles emotionally have grown a ton, but also, where am I treating, quote unquote, the surface without going to the root?
It's like, and we brought this up during one of the sessions too, but how Dr. Gabor talks about not why the addiction, but why the pain. And if you never get to that point, you will just be trading addiction for addiction. You may not have the most destructive, whatever addiction, but there's still going to be something unaddressed underlying. So that is like real root cause work. And I am of the belief, and people would disagree with me, and that's totally fine, but I feel like so much of the physical representation or expression of these things are rooted in the energy body, in the spiritual body, in the emotional body. Of course, there's physical, like if you're going to be eating trash all day, like there's going to be a physical consequence there, but so much of it lies in the not so 3D world.
I think my path right now, physically, specifically with remedies and with the work I'm doing there, is so intertwined and caused by emotional roots deep down. But those emotional roots then create physical issues or exacerbate them over time. So like one without the other, and then you add spirituality and mindfulness into that. Like I'm learning this like literally now. Without all of them, it's only going to get so far. So same thing with like different emotional things I've worked on in the past. It's only going to get so far when I can't support it with other sides too.
And it's supernatural. Like I think we're working on certain things. I think you had that experience in session 2 of ancestral shit that maybe was passed on even just emotionally through the womb, and you're putting a fucking stop to it.
You are.
It's going to manifest in its own ways. I think chronic illness is something that has to do with that as well. Not fully. Like we're all saying, there's different circumstances and environments and fucking ticks that exist. But I think because of that, the body is working through things or holding on to things that maybe you don't even know from your great grandpa or grandma or whatever, and we're letting it out.
It's like what we talked about with Bryony, that the complementary karma and emptiness, how it's not our fault per se, but it is our responsibility, or like in some way, shape, or form, karma has created this path for us. In some ways we choose it, in some ways it's just ours. it is our responsibility to, as soon as we are made aware, whether that's through some sort of medicine or just through whatever, it's our responsibility now. And, and what a gift, what a huge fucking privilege it is to be able to release these things
100%.
and not just heal what's going forward, but like to heal,
I totally agree.
Heal things backwards. Whether or not your great-great-grandmother will ever be aware, her soul may never be aware, who knows, but like those things can be healed through you, which is fucking wild and crazy.
That's what that
so
breathwork
cool.
session felt like.
Yeah.
The more like I did another session and I thought it was Zoe at 30 years old that I was blocking this dark spirit, but I realized that it was somebody from my past.
Yeah.
Whether it was my consciousness in a past life or ancestral, it felt like I was clearing something that wasn't mine.
Yeah.
I was clearing something that was attached to me, but had nothing to do with the life that I'm living.
Yeah.
Just my consciousness, whatever that means.
Yeah.
I think that's going to happen in so many different modalities.
Yeah.
Once you're willing to receive that responsibility, things are going to let loose and open up.
For sure.
Yeah. And there's a different, like Kambo, or I think all types of different experiences can get you there. There was a different knowing with me this experience versus talking about it intellectually.
Sure.
And being like, okay, that makes sense. This went to this, went to this. But it was like a deep sense of feeling and knowing and almost seeing it in a different way without my eyes.
You were tapped in.
Yeah.
That's tapping into the
What's
source.
up?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the difference is you have been on a path of like personal growth, personal development, lots of like therapy, EMDR, all these amazing things, which are super helpful, but it's all like work. It's all doing.
Yeah.
And I feel like Kambo has cracked a little bit into what about just like being and what about just opening and like releasing, letting go. Like those are such different energies.
Yeah.
So I'm like super pumped for you and excited to see what you're on the cusp of right now because I think it's going to be really cool. Okay, so that was day 2. So talk to us about this morning.
Okay, so this morning we go in. I was less nervous today for sure.
You both seemed way less nervous.
Yeah.
You guys were hella nervous yesterday morning.
Oh, day two was hard to go back to after the first one. We totally did it. We had this, but it was like, okay, walking into that experience again.
Yeah.
And it was so different that I think today it was more of, it could be like day 1, it could be like day 2, it could be a totally new type of experience and just like allowing it. So yeah, today did a little bit more than the past couple of days. So today I think we both did 5 points and it was so much calmer in a way for me. There were intense parts, which is interesting because it's the most points we've had so far. But there was just a deep like sense of I've got this. It's going to be okay. Not the Kambo experience. I knew that was going to be okay. But like the work, like going deep, wherever that was going to take me emotionally, I was willing.
Yeah.
You know? Which I'm somewhat surprised because there was no time to process after being stunned yesterday. So my natural being probably lately would have walked into that clenched.
Maybe that was divine.
Maybe that was design. Yeah, it's all part of it. But yeah, so the biggest insight today throughout the experience, I purged again, but I had this deep knowing of clarity of how clenched I live and always have. And I've been working on different nervous system things. So I feel like my mind has known this in different levels in different ways. And I do observe it in myself sometimes, but it's a totally different knowing that I got today of I was like shown it, felt it in a new way. Like my spirit could feel it and see it. And
you even said out loud, there's something stuck. And she was like, well, take some more water. Like you can purge that
like
way.
Help it. Yeah.
And you were like, no, not that.
No, it was like emotional. It was energy. It was like deep in me.
Yeah.
Stuck, blocked, I think I said. And with that, it was like, okay. And I was like mindfully trying to be like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Let it out, breathing through it. And I'm feeling the intensity at that point too. So I'm not like, like it's not one of the lower intense parts of the experience where you're like, I don't know, just sitting there in a way. But anyway, I notice how stuck that is. And I'm like, I feel like something's blocked. And that was right before I purged, which was good because that was like a good energetic release. But with that, I felt so deeply that I have always been clenched.
Yeah.
So less of a, okay, I've been living this way lately, or since some of the trauma I've caused myself, I've been like that. It was just I've always been this way.
Wow.
And I tell this story all the time of how disconnected I've been in my body in the past of I didn't know my shoe size until I was like 26.
Yeah.
I honestly never even thought about it. But my understanding subconsciously was that you just have to break in shoes. Like how disconnected is that? That's crazy that like all shoes are going to feel tight. You're going to get blisters at first and you'll break them in and then they're fine. And I'm like, I finally went up half a size exercise. And I like have barely gotten a blister since. And unless you're like wearing shoes
Same,
without
getting in my
socks,
head.
sweating. Crazy. So
Or like knowing when you're hungry. You've talked about
Yeah.
that too.
yeah, I didn't know. I've been working on so much in my 30s of like just intuitively connecting to my body
Yeah.
because I went through a long period of my life that I didn't trust it. I didn't know I was gay for so long. Like
Mhm.
there's so much I was not connected to.
Yeah.
But also it like goes deeper. Like I wasn't necessarily taught or I didn't learn to tap into it as a child either
Yeah.
of my own autonomy, emotionally, physically,
Yeah.
like not in a completely closed off way, but I just didn't know it was safe to explore of like anything. So I see you as Zoe now of, is your belly full?
Yeah.
Do you want more? Because you're going to go to school. Like that is so beautiful. And that's the smallest little thing.
Yeah.
It feels totally natural for you, but I don't even know to ask that myself sometimes.
Wow.
Like,
You're not alone. There's so many grown
Yeah.
adults that
Yeah.
yeah. So today was a deep, like almost feels like when I realized I could just go up half a size of
Yeah.
shoes of like, you don't have to do this,
Yeah.
you know, where it's this now, oh, I've been clenched all the time. And that is so sacral. Like it's been
Yes.
clenched from there. And if everything comes from there, everything's been clenched.
Yeah.
And then I come home and I tell you guys and you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, we've seen it. Like we want you to be so free. And Kelsey says it too. Like she's, I can see it in you. Yeah. And my understanding of freedom, like we've talked about this recently of manifesting all types
Yeah.
of things.
Yeah.
Freedom, there is a huge part of mindfulness that I have a path on for sure. But the freedom I've been talking about lately has been mind.
Yeah.
Like, how do I help my mind turn off?
Sure.
How do I help? Because I think it comes from there, or at least it did. Not anymore.
Yeah.
Like there's a body response to everything and just a default state
Yeah.
that is so clenched that then everything is a reaction to, including mind, throat, like literally all of it.
Yeah.
And like she was saying the other day, like people think safety is root chakra, but in so many ways it's sacral
Yeah.
because that
Yep.
it makes so much sense to me now. And I
Yep.
saw that and it wasn't cleared. There's also this huge understanding. I didn't go in thinking this either, but like Kambo's not a golden ticket.
No medicine is.
No.
Yeah, nothing is. And it's like, it's just a teacher.
Yeah.
That's it. And like the integration path and experience after is where the magic is,
Yeah.
where the medicine is working. So I'm excited to walk that path because it's so clear now where a route, I'm sure there's many,
Of course.
but where a route of this current path of healing
Yeah.
can be guided.
100%.
And that doesn't mean like mindfulness isn't the path for me right now, but that when it's connected to sacral is where it needs to be.
Yeah.
Not meditate to learn to meditate.
Yeah, that's
to
exactly
control
it.
the mind. That's what it
Yeah,
was.
that
It
was
was
that
meditate to control my mind instead of
Just moving control from one
yes,
thing to a different
it really
thing.
is. It really is. Yeah.
Okay, we only have like 2 more minutes.
Yeah.
So I just had one question.
Yeah.
Because we've heard a lot of your learning for yourself
Yeah.
and what is opening up with that, which the medicine alone is a gift because of that. What is a piece of encouragement that you can give others, has nothing to do with Kambo,
Yeah.
that you've learned about yourself that you can give to somebody else?
Oh, wow. Well, the first thing that comes up right now is that it's all an evolution. I get it. This is part of the mind control thing. I get in this thing where I want to be at this stage by this time. I want to feel this. I want to heal by this time. This is the path I'm going to take. All this expectation.
Yeah.
And I get like it too when I try to do too many modalities at once. There's a lot going on in the wellness world right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in like holistic living, and that's wonderful. But this innate intuition, and like we talked about, was that today or yesterday, where like your purpose is to evolve. Like purpose is going to change every day, and it is to evolve and to delight in that experience, and then delight in that experience in others too, where so much is either controlled or like grabbing too many things at once. So I guess encouragement for me to others would be like quiet down, because that's what I'm learning to do, and feel like we have so much knowing in us. Feel what's right for us today.
Yeah.
And that doesn't have to be what's right for us tomorrow, but what other people are doing, it doesn't have to be what's right for us either. So like,
Fuck
Totally.
the comparison model,
yes,
y'all.
yeah. And then use the tools as teachers. Once you know that and you feel that, it's also go do it.
Yeah.
It's scary sometimes even to just try new things, or it's overwhelming. So much is overwhelming,
Yeah.
but it shouldn't be. Slow down, do a little bit less at a time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you got, Bae?
There are so many lessons that I pulled out of the 3 days of Kambo, but in general, relaying off of what Laura said, we've got all of our answers within. I know we've said that a million times on this podcast, but I just really believe that.
Yeah.
There is no medicine, no practice, no healer that has your answers. I mean, it's helpful to use those things, I think, sometimes if you're feeling like you're hitting your head against a wall or something, like a pattern interrupter. At least that's what Kambo was for me. But all of your answers are going to come within, or else they're not your answers.
100%.
So that's one. And the other one, I am just feeling, this is going to sound silly maybe, but I am feeling so deeply, like, to my bones grateful to be a human. Like, I think there's been so many days where I just don't want the responsibility or the complexity that comes with humanity, right? Everything is so gray and it feels like everything's so complicated. What's my purpose here? The trees aren't doing that. I would just love to be a fucking tree.
Yeah.
Just be. And
you've said that.
I have said that. But I think I just came to this realization that all of the human experience, like all the sensorial, like the physical experience, the emotional experience, the interconnectedness we can have between human beings.
Yes.
Tapping into energy, consciousness, all of it is such a huge privilege. And I've never felt like this before. I feel like just so deeply grateful to be human. And I think I'm done overcomplicating it. Meaning every day I'll wake up and think, oh, like, what's my purpose here?
Yeah.
Should I dive headfirst into holistic practitioner stuff? Or should I dive headfirst into cooking and recipes and meal planning or whatever the thing is? And I complicate it so much that I don't do anything then. I freeze.
Yep.
And like you were saying, my sole purpose every single day, because karmically, like, that's why I'm here wherever I am. My sole purpose is to just be where I am and fully experience that and whatever that looks like. So my sole purpose is to just be wherever I am on any given day, knowing that that's going to change and evolve and shift, and that's fine.
Yep.
And then to love myself deeply, to love others deeply, other living beings, earth, source, spirit, like that is all that is required of me. And the rest is just like cherries on top. If you build a cool business, sweet.
I mean, I think things will blossom out of that easily.
Yeah, that's where like
flow
happens.
Yeah, with reverence to ourselves, how could it not overflow intuition of different things?
That's the point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've been like, I even showed up to Kambo saying, I need more masculine energy in my life. I need more discipline, is what I came to her saying. I need more discipline. I need work ethic, the action of the masculine energy. And what I've learned is like masculine energy is necessary. But it's not the control or the like forcing that we often think of masculine. It's the container, it's the structure and the consistency.
Yeah.
And I can do that from a place of reverence for self, dedication or devotion. Like those are the words that I need to be using in my vocabulary more so than work ethic and discipline. It's such a different energy.
Yeah.
So
And Mary Oliver says attention is the beginning of devotion.
Yeah.
And I love that as part of this experience because Kambo, you can use anything you want, but it helped bring our attention to different things that were already in our intuition. It didn't give us anything we didn't already have within us.
Hence the week before, y'all.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that attention now can be of reverence, of devotion, not for me, a ritual, a routine that I have to like do every day and things like that. It's if I begin to learn reverence for myself and devotion to myself, that'll come out of like gentle love. And it might look exactly the same of whatever ritual instead of routine it becomes. But it's like the energy of it coming into it is different than a to-do list because
100%.
if I check all these off, then I'll become this.
Yep.
That's not what we're going for here.
Yeah.
Woo! Okay.
Guys, you both are awesome. I'm proud of you guys.
Thanks.
You are two different humans than you were last week.
Yeah.
Proud of you guys.
It was really special to do it together.
You're opened up.
Yeah.
Continue to be willing to receive because even though you won't have Kambo on your arm, the universe is going to send you a ton.
Yeah.
And so just be aware of that.
Yeah.
But I love you guys.
Love you back.
Love you.
Love you, listeners.
Love you. Stay open.
Bye.
Bye.